My name is Hannah Voye, and I'm a graduate student at SDSU with Dr. Kristine. So I'm researching soil tarping, and this is a weed suppression technique used by organic farmers in order to reduce tillage and herbicide use. Soil tarping is laying down a tarp on the soil. Basically, it's before you plant, so we laid our tarp on in April, and we took it off in early May right before we planted. So there's two different types of soil tarping that we're studying, and that is solarization and occultation. Solarization is laying down a clear tarp and burying the edges of it, laying sandbags on top to keep it down from that wind. And the goal of that is to create a microclimate greenhouse effect in order to bring out the weed seed bank, have all those weeds growing, and then you'll till or you'll flame weed in order to kill out all those weeds before the season starts. So hopefully you'll have less weeds during the season. Occultation is using a black tarp in order to stop sunlight from coming onto the ground and germinating those weed seeds. So when you put a black tarp over the soil early season, you're stopping weed seeds from germinating and delaying that early season competition between your cash crop and weeds that could germinate. So the different tarping treatments that we used is a white tarp, a black tarp, and a clear tarp, and each of those tarps were laid down on the soil for 2, 4, and 6 weeks. So in order to install the tarps, you need a lot of people and a lot of sandbags, especially in South Dakota with the large amounts of winds that we have. So in order to lay down the tarps, we rolled out the tarps on the ground as a team, and then we put sandbags down. I think we had about 25 sandbags per tarp. We removed our tarps in late May, and it's as easy as taking the tarps off, removing the sandbags, and then after we took off all of our tarps, we tilled the ground and we planted. So in order to prepare the soil, we laid down a nitrogen fertilizer and we tilled very lightly as not to bring up any more weed seeds. We used onions for our soil tarping project because there's less foliage on them, and that allows for more competition with the weeds that could come up. We grew our onions from seed in the greenhouse. We started them in late February and then left them in the greenhouse for a few months until we planted them in May. One challenge in the greenhouse that we had was a lighting issue, which caused the onions to stop growing foliage and start bulbing early. However, this was fixed as we put them outside to acclimate before we planted them in the field, and they quickly started growing green foliage again. So we've been collecting data on how many weeds are in the plots. We've been collecting data on soil parameters such as temperature, moisture, and microbial activity, as well as nutrients. And then we've also been collecting data, or we will be collecting data, on the crop yield of onions. So we've collected weed data bi-weekly throughout the season. We've looked at broadleaf and grass weeds, and we've separated those and counted them. So we don't count the whole field that we use. We just use a small square quadrat, which is a PVC piping that's about 25 centimeters by 25 centimeters square. And we throw that into our test plot, and we'll count the weeds, and then we will measure the height of the tallest of 3 random weeds, and then we will clip those weeds and collect the biomass from them in order to dry and later weigh out. So we recently harvested our onions on August 28th. We bagged them all after harvesting them, and they're now curing in the greenhouse in some mesh bags. And we anticipate to collect data on them. We will be doing some size, some weight data, as well as quality data such as disease and insect damage. So curing our onions is basically putting them at a specific temperature. In our case, it's at between 75 and 85 degrees. In a dry environment where there is a lot of airflow. I think the biggest thing that I've learned is working as a team. Our professor gives us a lot of opportunities to work with other graduate students and learn how to work together and coordinate with each other and help each other out. And I think that's a really cool thing in our lab at SDSU. This project is a collaboration with Iowa State University and is funded by North Central SARE. To learn more about my project and others like it, please visit SDSU's Extension website.